Yeah, so lots of forgive me, just lots of things going on.
No.
It's how do we entice, how do we bring students along? You make, if the students, if learning is the experience someone has in themselves, the idea is to, how do we make it enticing? How do we make someone want to pay more attention so that they learn, right? That's what it's all about.
I know Steve and I have had many, many conversations on how to preview for a lecture and how to prime the pump per se, so that we can get the clues and we can get the jokes and the analogies. Because um, Jeff has said this too in the past, and I'm sad that he wasn't able to make it today. But like in a lot of STEM lectures, we would feel extremely lucky if we understood more than 5 minutes of what is being said. So, in other words, if in your story right now, Cynthia, as one of your colleagues is, prepping those short videos to introduce and to quote unquote sell these ideas so that it's not frozen, right? Yeah. But for students, it really is so much so that previewing process, and I think Steve wants to say some stuff about that.
Yeah, I've actually had this conversation with one of my professors in the past, and she recommended previewing lectures. So it's previewing for my lecture so I could understand my lecture better. But it's it's a really hard habit to keep up with, or at least if you've, I think it's so common to just only review the lecture and be in the lecture. So it was kind of a radical idea at the time, and I've been trying it, and I always end up abandoning it because I haven't been able to, like, every time I want to do it, but when it comes to the choice of maybe I'm a lesson behind and I have to review or I preview the next lecture, I guess I'm concerned and I think, okay, I'd rather review. But then when I sit in lecture and I'm like, wow, I'm not really gaining anything because I'm not understanding what's happening. So I have to try to fix that with the scheduling issue, which I've been reflecting about and working and writing about. But I think it's so powerful, like just that idea of, at least for my math, just there's so many pages that we tend to ignore, but there's always like a chapter introduction that like usually we never read, or like an outro, and just seeing the syllabus and like how some names like will pop up back and forth, and just trying to, I know Jeff has told me like reading a textbook is so different. Like you don't just read from the beginning very to the end. You have to like
No.
skim around and see the sections and see the titles, see what's bolded, and try to connect everything. So I think it's a really important and just vital thing to make lecture more engaging for the students, because I've sat in enough classes where I'm I'm engaged, I'm ready, like my phone is off. That's the type of student I am. I don't want to even bring out
That's
my
good.
laptop. But then I don't
Good.
know what's happening, and it's like kind of like unmotivating. So like I'm like, should I even attend this lecture? Should I just get the review or notes from someone else, because I'm here, but and I'm like trying to be active, but it's not working. So I think being able to prime for the lecture is super important. But just figuring out how to do it, I think that's a struggle, and I wish more people would talk about that. So yeah, and creating the
Steve,
videos, I think is something I would love my professors to have done for me.
yeah,